Hey, I'm Randy and I'm the Cheap Audio Man. Here at the Cheap Audio Man, sometimes we run across equipment that doesn't even cost as much as taking the whole family out for a steak dinner. And in this case, these don't. What are they? They're the Moukey powered three-way speakers. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the Moukey three-way powered speakers. Today's sponsor is Becky's Cable Management System. It's $35 to get a whole bunch of this, and what you do is you put your cables together and you wrap it up with this cable management system. It's worth it because it keeps your cables managed. Becky's Cable Management System. Okay, Moukey three-way powered speakers. All right, they're pretty good looking. They're brown and gray. Brown and gray. Yep. All right, so they have a 4-inch woofer. Feels like paper. All right. A 2-inch mid-range. I'm not going to hit it. And then a 1-inch soft dome tweeter. They're also front ported. And guess what? They're actually offset like they should be in a three-way design. Unlike the Yamahas. Okay. Other Yamaha speakers. They have a reported frequency response of 20 hertz up to 20,000 hertz, and that's not true. They don't go down to 20 hertz. Okay, I don't know why they said that, but they did. Okay, on the back, let's take a look at the back. On the back, there is a pair of RCA's inputs. All right, there we go, right there. RCA inputs, and then there's a 3.5 millimeter input, and then you run your other speaker from there to the other speaker, and then there's also a headphone output, and then the power on and off, and then the cord is permanently attached, which is, at this price point, is probably what you're gonna get. Kind of nice. I don't know, I don't mind it. I like the way they look. I think they look cool. They actually have a pretty good wood wrap. They look good. The front looks good. It's a handsome speaker. This is a good looking speaker, folks. They're about the size of a shoebox, all right? Not huge. Good for, you guessed it, a desktop listening. All right. How do they sound? So I ran these with their Bluetooth, included Bluetooth. They also come with a remote. Remote. There it is. Look at that. Comes with a remote, and you can basically turn on the Bluetooth, and you can select the different inputs, and then you can turn the volume up and down. Okay. Also should have shown you the tone controls. Tone controls on the side here. All right. So you have treble, and you have bass, and then you have volume, and you can also change the input by pushing that in. And there is a button in there. If you push it, it changes the input. All right. How do they sound? They sound pretty good. I'm not going to go through a whole bunch of stuff with soundstage and imaging because this is a desktop speaker. It is a $98 speaker with a 10% off coupon or $10 off coupon. So really it's an $88 powered speaker. Okay, so we're going to temper our expectations, and I'll just say it, for $88 or even $98, this is a very good value. But let's talk about the sound. Bass response on this is probably 70, 60, 70. Also, no subwoofer out. However, there is a way that you can connect a subwoofer, considering that you just hook up one speaker to the other. So both channels power supply is in one speaker, and then you're just running the left channel off of that. So what one could do is take that and run it into a subwoofer speaker level input, and then run the line back to the speaker. Or you can just run two lines off of here, one to the sub and then one to the other speaker. Now, with that said, you're only going to get half of the bass information. If the right channel contains most of the bass information, then it'll be fine. Is it ideal? No, but there's no way you can hook up a subwoofer to this any other way. I suppose you could crack open the back and take a look and see if there's a line that runs to the right speaker, and then you can do another line out of there, and then you can run both lines to the sub for speaker level inputs. But probably don't want to do that. So in a pinch, if you need to, you can run a subwoofer off this with speaker level inputs, but you're only getting the left channel. Okay, bass is fine. Soundstage and imaging is actually pretty good, and I also had this experience with the Edifier R1700 BTS. Soundstage and imaging were actually excellent, and the center image was very good. The vertical and lateral imaging is pretty good too. There's a nice waveguide / horn on the tweeter, and the mid-range does a pretty good job too. So I was actually really impressed with the soundstage and imaging. Bass tonality, it's fine. It's good. You can adjust bass up. Mid-range can be a bit shouty, especially in the 2K region. Really at the top end of the voices, it can be pretty intense. However, I mitigated that by not being on axis. What that means is I just towed them out a bit. When I did that, the mids settled down in that 2K region. Now, as far as the treble and bass, when it's both flat, it seems a little anemic. So what I did is I left the treble flat, and then I bumped up the bass, I think, to number 2. You can go up to, I think it goes up to 10 on each side. So either minus 10 or positive 10. So I did plus 2 on the bass, and it balanced things out. Sounded pretty good, okay? So overall, when we take into consideration price, I think these sound pretty good. And I think they sound pretty good because of the DSP. However, when you start to mess around with treble and the bass, the mid-range is really the part here that I think needs the most adjustment. So when you start messing around with mid-range or the bass and the treble, it can kind of like, I wish we could bring down the mid-range a little bit, all right? But you can't, so you have to, I just moved them off axis. Now, if you really like that sound, great. You're going to have plenty of it. You're going to have a lot of fun times in the 2K region or so. But they sound good. They sound good. What are my final thoughts? Final thoughts are, if you have $100 or less and you have some type of DAC or source, or if you just have your phone and you just want to do Bluetooth, I don't think you can really go wrong with these. If you understand that around that 2K, there's a bit of energy there, and that could be a bit fatiguing after a while. But again, if you move these around, you get them off axis to your ear, they sound very good. There's abundance of clarity here. The bass is acceptable for the size of the speaker and the price of the speaker. If you start to bump up the bass, there's a bunch of it muddies things up when you crank the bass up. If you're not too heavy-handed with it though, and you just pump it up a little bit, it will bring the bass up, and I think in line with the mid-range and treble. You can't bring the mid-range down. You're going to have to move it and adjust it to get the mid-range to be what I would feel is balanced. There's no DAC here. So if you need a DAC, that's going to be something you're going to have to add on separately. If you're in this budget, you may want to look at some of the Prozor DACs. They're about 10 or 12 bucks on Amazon. Do they measure great? No, of course they don't. They're a $12 DAC, but they'll do the job. They'll get you a USB, optical, and coax. This is a pretty good deal. Really good deal. This is really only a desktop solution though. If you're in a very small room, and let's say you have a turntable that has a phono preamp in it, maybe, very small room, very quiet listening, maybe like a kitchen setup. Put this in the kitchen, run some Bluetooth, it's going to be fine. Is it a soundbar killer? I don't think so. It will sound better than your TV speakers, but it's not going to fill up a medium-sized room, and the bass is really going to struggle. If you're looking for a soundbar killer, I would look at something. If you're looking at powered monitors, you're going to need a sub. Okay, you're going to need a sub, you're going to need something bigger than this. But for what it is, at $100, desktop, very small room, you're not too concerned about getting, really low frequencies out of this. It's great product, and I think it fits in really nice on a desk. So again, don't think you can go wrong if this is where your budget is. If you want something different, you're going to have to probably put together a few different components. Maybe get one of those Class D amps, like a Fozzy amp. Maybe get the Sony SSCS5s. But at that point, you're hitting 150, even to 200. You don't have a DAC yet, so could be the product for you. Could be the product for you. $88, not too bad for a set of powered, little tiny desktop speakers. Okay. If you want to support the channel, you can subscribe and like the video if you like the video. I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we do patron-only Zooms. We also have patron-only content. We also have a patron-only Facebook group. You can use the links to buy any of this. If you buy this through my link, I'll get a commission off of that. You can also sign up for Amazon Music HD for free. Click on the link, scroll down to the bottom, click Try HD. You get 3 months for free, and I get a couple of dollars. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen through your new Moukey powered 3-way, I'm going to call them desktop speakers, and fill your soul with happiness. With that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.